Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to your ninth session of Book Clubs Across Borders between Muzaffarabad and Bamyan. The book that we are discussing today is I Am Malala, an autobiography by Malala Yousafzai. This book has been an inspiration for our students who have read this book already in Book Clubs Across Borders, and they have shared incredible views on this book. So before we start over this conversation, I would like to ask my colleague Ayman Imran to give a brief summary of this book, and then we will go towards our students and get their views on the book. So Ayman, over to you.
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum. I'm Eamon from the Citizens Archive of Pakistan, and I'll just give you a small summary of I Am Malala, the book that we're discussing today. So basically, the book is a sort of a recording of history from the perspective of first Malala and then a wider section of girls her age in society. So basically, it's a history from a unique perspective of people from the ground. It's not a state-led written history book, but it records how domestic life at the time was in Sawat, Mingora, where Malala is from. And she describes what she saw from her own eyes and how people were living at the time of Taliban rule. And in the story, she mentions large-scale historical events like perhaps the religious intolerance in the country, the conflict between Shias and Sunnis, the Islamization that was done by Zia, Musharraf control. She also mentions Benazir Bhutto. So it's basically an interweaving of large-scale historical events with a domestic life on the ground, which saw history take place and experienced it. So Malala, as we all know, was shot by the Taliban in Mingora whilst going to school, but it has a long backstory. So she goes all the way back in the book and starts describing everything from the very beginning. She delves quite deeply into her family and the family background. She mentions her father and she tells his story as well, that how he grew up in a patriarchal society but valued education, how he faced difficulties while creating the Khushal school, how she herself spent a very large chunk of her life around and within the school and learning how to value and why to value education, and learning in general for girls specifically, right? Um, so her father's name is Ziauddin, and he played a large part in encouraging girls to learn. He also named her after a courageous heroine from a folklore, uh, which basically points towards the larger conversation on what Sawati society at the time was like or is like, and the patriarchal nuances of the area, and what life in general for women is like over there. She then also kind of talks about how women uh, must be encouraged to not just learn and become part of the education system, but also to become figures of goodwill in communities. So she talks about this larger perspective of giving to society, giving back to society, and playing a part in communal service in general. And she also kind of paints that through domestic life and friendships in general, because she also mentions some of her friends. She introduces them, in fact, as integral parts of the plot. She introduces a neighbor. So that is the way her story is written, is to kind of tell the on-ground history through various characters and figures that were important to her personally. And the macro events, historical events that she mentions are woven in very subtly to sort of show how an increasing sense of intolerance was building up in society, which led to her becoming more vocal and her family becoming more vocal, and all of them realizing more and more the importance of education in society, and why it was now more important than ever to not let that go. So yes, 9/11 is also mentioned, which of course plays a huge role in the acceleration of a sense of urgency in the international community and the state as well of Pakistan to kind of capture this area for various reasons, right? So you have the Taliban who are kind of in the area and imposing all these rules and regulations and a way of life that is just extremely restricted and narrow and confines women to the household, right? And of course, a lot beyond that, but because the story focuses on life of women and girls, we'll also kind of just give that more importance at the moment. War on terrorism is going on in the wider society, and all of this kind of increasing tension leads to more and more confrontations, specifically between Malala's family and the Taliban, right? And she mentions that her father actually has a confrontation with the Taliban, which kind of leads to this, let's say, campaign of Malala's family becoming more vocal and the Taliban becoming more and more threatened. So yes, she gives a very large and nuanced background of religious tensions, patriarchal tensions, and the state's role in general as well with this. Very interestingly, actually, she mentions that the militants gain popularity as a shadow state. So shadow state means that the Taliban somehow are able to do things that the state should do, right? So during the 2005 earthquake and the calamity of it, the state should have been the primary body providing the people with aid and whatever they needed at the time, right? But the state was not able to do so, and the Taliban took their place, right? So they were better equipped and they provided the people with what they needed, like the aid and everything else, right? So that's how they gained popularity, which is extremely interesting because what they are known for is religion, and what they propagate themselves as are custodians of religion, right? But instead, their popularity, a lot of their popularity also rests on political and social endeavors. This is actually a very social endeavor, right? Social political endeavor to provide aid to sections of society or people who are hit by calamity and disaster. Not something that was their responsibility anyway, right? So she mentions these things which provide you with a lot of insight that goes beyond a personal story of Malala. And finally, Malala starts gaining international attention because she starts to become more vocal and more, let's say, public with her story of what it is like to live under the Taliban. And she also has affiliations with the New York Times, with the BBC, and she uses the name Gul Makai, interestingly, to contribute to these platforms. And finally, when she's on the school bus, one day the Taliban come inside and shoot her and two other girls, by the way. And from there on, her journey begins to first of all survive and begin a new life and become even more determined to serve people around her and to come back to Pakistan someday to help people. So I think the larger and reactions within Pakistan towards this story of hers are also very important because they are addressed that some Pakistanis are very skeptical of this entire story and think of it as a conspiracy plot or whatever. But I think the larger theme throughout the book is to is the story or history recorded from the perspective of a girl who is watching various kinds of injustice around her in different scopes, right? And intolerance, and just a general lack of helping people. And that forms a major crux of the book, is to how to become more determined, and what inspired her to become a figure of help in society, and using history, or a historical lens, a very unique one, in fact, to do so. So I think that's what wraps up the story.
Hi, my name is Malika. I'm from Bamyan, Afghanistan. I read a book by the name of I Am Malala, a teenage girl from Pakistan that fight for her right and for other girls and women right. I think the story of Malala is the story of every girl in Afghanistan, every woman in Afghanistan. Every woman in Afghanistan are fighting for their right. Every woman in Afghanistan are fighting for their um, right to study. Even they are fighting for their right to be alive. There is the situation of Malala is now in Afghanistan. Taliban do not allow girls to study and do not allow them go out and work. And she is, I think, now she is the hero of every every woman and girls from Afghanistan, because she was the one who fight for the woman right to educate. She is worked hard. She challenged, and now she is the most famous 400 for the most 100 people that they are famous in the world. She is from those people, and also she is the winner of Nobel Prize in 2012, and also she founded the foundation. She founded. A charity program for girls and also for children to study, and she collected money from every person, or from people around the world, and everyone in the around the world helped her to help other children. She fought for children rights also. That she is a quote from her that with one pin, one teacher, and one child, and one teacher can change the world. I believe in this quote, that that education is the basement of every country and the basement of every society. And also, I don't know that there is thousands of girls in Afghanistan like Malala. Malala was shot by Taliban. In Afghanistan also, in not shot it. Other things are like the Taliban crippled girls, crippled women do not work, and also explosion in the schools, in the workplace, even in the mosque, that they do not allow girls to study. And I think that I think that now in Afghanistan, every woman and every girl think about Malala, and she think that and all women think that we should challenge like Malala, we should challenge Taliban, we should study. And now also women are standing for their rights, and I think she is the hero of Afghan girls also. And I'm really happy that she was shot by Taliban, and then she recovered and she became well, and she sought for others children right. And I'm really happy. And also we are hoping that one day Afghanistan also, a woman of Afghanistan find the right to study, and they find the right to educate others also. And that's all. I hope that the situation of Afghanistan get better.
When I said it, Malala's book it really attracted me. That before that I didn't have any confidence to do something to the girls of Afghanistan, in Afghanistan, because now in Afghanistan also we have like that situation. There is lots of Taliban and there is violence against women, and Taliban don't let, especially girls that don't let to get knowledge and learn and go to school. But when I studied Malala's book, it attracted me that I have to do. Also, nothing is impossible in the world. Also, I am like Malala. I can do everything. Now, I really want to do something in my country and to do something that Taliban can't say anything for girls that they and prevent them from school. Where that she was born, and there she will serve her people as well. And she dreams that one day she will be an influential politician in Pakistan. But most that she focus is about in education. She focus a lot, and even she talked about education with Barack Obama as well, about education, importance of education. She said him that instead focusing on eradicating terrorism through war, he should focus on eradicating it through education. And the time that really her life changed was when Taliban was shot. When she it was when Taliban she was shot by the Taliban. It was a difficult challenge that she had in her life. And it brings me to the end of my presentation. At the end, just I want to say that what is her goal that she wrote this book. Malala wrote this book. She wants to raise her voice. She wants to, through in education especially, she wants to, and also hope other girls also that they have to raise their voice, raise their hand, and they have to stand up to education, and they have to get their right, because now around the world there are millions and millions of girls that they can't get knowledge, and especially Taliban don't let them to get knowledge. But Malala hoped that no, you are a girl, and you are of course you can, as she overcome these challenges, and she never gave up, and she never lose. You also can, and other girls also can. She hoped that you have to do this one. You have to get your right, and you shouldn't let Taliban to get your right from yourself, to get your knowledge. Thank you for listening.
Some main points by the name of Malala. Malala was born at 1997 at Swat village of Pakistan, and she born at a poor family. She take Nobel Prize at 2012, and she tried to study, and she tried to girls study, and she is very good girl, and she is a hero for girls, for boys, for all. And I want to become like Malala in the future, because Malala's tried to study. She is winner of the Nobel Prize, and Malala Yousafzai was trying to study, and she has a brother by the name of Khushal, and she teach her brother to English, and she supposed her brother to study very hard, and she say don't study hard, study smart. And Malala is my role model.
In the name of Allah, who is the most kind and the most merciful. This book of I'm Malala is about attacking of Taliban on Malala up to her going to England. Malala was born in 1997 in a Pashtun family in Swat Valley, Pakistan. She grew up in and around school, as his father's long life was to found a better school for Malala. And Malala spent childhood in Munagor, Swat, Pakistan. The family had little money at first, but as his father's school began to do well, and they were better off. And at school, the most supporter of Malala was Muniba, her best friend. And after that, Pakistan began to change after the 9/11 attacks happened. And also, the Taliban began to implement many strict rules, like CDs, DVDs, and TVs are not allowed at home. Women must remain purdah, and girls could not be educated. For Malala, the last reason or the last rule was unacceptable. She and her father always struggled and not refused to be silent against Taliban. And Malala was shot in the head while riding the bus home from school. All the people in Pakistan pray for Malala to become healthy soon. And in 2013, she came out from hospital. And doctors said that after 2 weeks again, she should operate. But Taliban said if she become healthy, we will kill her. On this story, it is continued with efforts and good works of Malala. Finally, in 2014, she got the Nobel Peace Prize and said girls should have pens, books, instead of shooting by Taliban. One girl can change the world. And also said that I'm always awe of my parents, that they always encourage and support me for learning education and showing the good way of Islam religion. And in sum up, those girls that today go to schools in Pakistan, it is the hard working of Malala. Thank you.
Hello, the book I have read, it was one of the greatest books I have read. This book, the story was a life story of a girl coming from a poor family in Pakistan. She mentioned in the book that the situation was not good for girls and women in Pakistan in the past. And she challenged all of that, and she fought for his rights to take them. There's many things that I can learn from this book. We all can learn from this book, but there are some minor points that I want to share. First, everyone needs to stand for their rights. It is not something that we should give to others. Take this one is your right. We all should stand, girls, women, men, all together, hand by hand. And as she was shot in the during, I don't remember well, she was shot on the way to school, but it couldn't stop her. She stood up stronger and stronger, more than she could think of. She won the Nobel Prize in 2012 and became a hero of all the girls, not just from Pakistan, not just from Afghanistan, but all the earth, standing for children's rights to learn. And the thing that I can learn from this book, as I mentioned, it's a lot, but usually it is to stand for my society, to improve education, and that everyone can learn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for connecting with us today. It was lovely hearing from all of you. Keep on reading, keep on sharing books, keep on exchanging books with your friends, and we'll see you next time, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.